Yes, this week we're talking about subject, content, form, and also context. These are the vocabulary words associated with this week's unit. As opposed to, so the first one is content, and that is different from subject matter. The content is the meaning or feeling of an artwork. How do you feel when you look at it? What is the message? And that's not necessarily the same for two people. Two people with different life experiences can feel like a work affects them differently or means something different to them. Subject matter is what is being shown, the subject of the artwork. Form is the physical aspects of the artwork, what colors, the lines, shapes, the elements and principles of art are mostly associated with form. And representation is what we're going to talk about, is the way something is shown. Okay. When I talk about form, what I mean is the way it looks. And form is what really attracts us to something. Before we even know what a song is about, we get pulled in by the beat, right? And the way the singer sings and the rhythm and the sounds. Then after, if the song has lyrics, we might listen to it, and finally start, realizing what the song is about or what the meaning of the song is. But before all that, we have form. So as you've already looked at Picasso's Girl Before a Mirror, and before you even realize what's happening in the picture, your eye is attracted to the contrast of the black and the bright colors, the patterns, the shapes. And I want to make the argument that this is why this pair of shoes in particular is also attractive. This is one of those shoes that you can like design on your own and get ordered for you. It's a couple years old, so pardon me if it's out of fashion. But for a while, these types of designs were cool. Anyway, the stripes and the black and white contrast and the colors, what I'm trying to say is these two objects, although very different, this is a shoe, this is a introspective portrait of a woman, they attract us for the same reason. They have the same similar form. I don't know if any of y'all have seen this picture of Rihanna. It's kind of famous. But when it first came out, everyone was like, whoa, this is beautiful, this Swarovski crystal dress. And aside from the part that Rihanna is very beautiful, there's certain aspects of this dress that make it, very visually pleasurable, visually appealing. You have the shiny, hold on, I'm going to go back to it. You have the shiny, sparkly crystals. You have the fur, the texture that contrasts with the sharp crystal, the soft fur. Obviously, the color of her skin, which is nice and warm, with the cool, contrasting makeup, the kind of smoky eye, and even the way she's standing in this picture in particular. Now, I want you to compare it formally to this landscape by Gustav Klimt. And I want you to, try to see how these are both visually, formally pleasing, and they work in the same way. They both are attractive in the same way. So you have these warm brown fall leaves on the ground that really complement the gray tree bark, the birch trees, just like the silver and gray of the dress complement her skin. So you have warm and cool together. You even have the sparkly sun, shining through the leaves and the bark in the same way that her dress sparkles. And you also have the trees kind of standing regally, kind of arched, and, they almost look like models standing there, just very proud. And y'all might think I'm crazy, but trust me, if you like this, you like this. Let's do one last one. This is a sculpture by Richard Serra and the Dodge Challenger, as you've probably seen. The sculpture is a little harder to convey the feeling of it because you're not there. Because sculpture is three-dimensional, you almost need to be there in its presence to kind of move around it and, experience it as an object. Just like being around the Dodge Challenger when it's like revving up its engine is totally different. It's totally more exciting than seeing a picture of it. But I still want to make the argument that, it's attractive for the same reason, the formal reason that this sculpture is attractive. You have a heavy, large steel object that, you have a contrast of curves and angles. Part of what makes it a great body design is that it's curved in the right places, and then you have this nice angle in the right places. And so it's a good balance or contrast of curves and angles in the form. And also just kind of gives you that feeling, that powerful feeling. So that was form, and this is subject. Subject matter is what is being shown, the end. So if I tell you, flower, it tells you nothing about what I'm looking at, but that is subject. Subject can be very different depending on how it's formally shown. So in the next few slides, I'm going to be showing you all works of art that have women as subjects. So we have this Woman by Jean Dubuffet, Woman by Picasso, Woman Woman. This one is Kathy Kollwitz. Woman. Woman. Sorry, we moved on. And so here we go. So you had a series of images all by different artists, all very, very different formally, but they're all all of the artworks have the subject matter of woman. Does that mean they're all the same meaning? No, not at all. I mean, this woman is very different than, let's say, this woman. This is a crazed, almost insane, and this one is almost somber and sad, powerful, motherly, but very different from this mother. So even though you have two mothers, we have a very different story and feeling and meaning, and it evokes different feelings in us as the viewer. So the subject matter alone is not enough to give us the content of the story. The work of art. It's when subject matter and form come together, that's when we start figuring out, okay, well, the way this is rendered, it's very detailed, she's exaggerated, she looks very strong, it's high contrast, and yet the lines are very organized, totally different from this one. So the form and the form and the subject begin to give us the content. The other one is context. So this is a drawing. These are drawings done by prisoners, LGBTQ prisoners, and this is. And I don't know if you've ever seen, like prison art, but it has a very similar look. And anyway, they had a show in a gallery of these works of art, and just seeing the work in a gallery totally changes. So when you change the context, how it's seen, it changes the meaning as well, rather than seeing it on a prison wall versus in a gallery, for example. So the context gets changed. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is representation. So how these subjects are being represented. And the best example I can talk to you about is abstract art. Artworks that are not realistic. They can be varying degrees of abstraction, from hyperrealism to non-representational. They are more open-ended, and I wanted to ask you, in non-representational art, what is the subject? Non-representational art is when you can't recognize anything. A non-representational artwork may look like this painting by Cy Twombly, or a somewhat abstract work of art may look like this. And even though you can see that it's some flowers, it doesn't look like flowers in real life. Same with some of the women we looked at. This one is very abstract. This one is very representational. It looks, even though it doesn't look exactly like a real woman, it looks more like real life than the other one. So anyways, let's go back. And some people might say, well, this isn't anything. My 3-year-old could do this. And I hear that a lot, but there is skill and there is a logic to this, and they talk about it in the video that's also included below this video. So I expect you to watch that to kind of see what's going on here, what's the logic behind abstract art, and also what is abstract art about. Sorry, this is totally non-representational. We don't know what it's about. It could be the ocean. It could be blood. I mean, it could be anything. And just because you don't know what it is about or what it's representing, or how it makes you feel, does not mean it doesn't have something to it. I usually show the example of beatboxing. Beatboxing, it's really cool and it's really fun and it sounds great. And I asked the students, what is the meaning of these songs? What are they about? And they can't tell me until finally they realize they're about the beats. They're about the sounds. And sometimes it's really just that simple. Abstract art is about the colors. It's about the drips. It's about the spray paint. And so how those things make you feel, that's enough. It doesn't need to be about love or pain or death. It can just be about art for art's sake, just about the form and how it looks.